It's not only hope. I am pretty positive that Ukraine will win.
Randy Miller and Michael Seward on RandyMillerRadio.com.
Say the blues is just a good man feeling bad. I don't know about you, that's not the kind of blues I have. I'm a bad man, I'm feeling good. Yes, I'm a bad man. Let's get that understood.
Yeah, we're going to get a lot of things understood today, Michael. How are you?
I'm fine and concerned, heartbroken, a little bit of everything. You know, usually when we have that music, we're hooping and hollering. It's really not that tone today.
Yeah, it's not that tone, especially with what's happening in Ukraine. And I think everybody, to some degree, has many, many questions about what's going on. I know I do. And it's this is kind of a special edition of RandyMillerRadio.com because we have the perfect person to talk about that in here with us. Did you hear? Now, originally, what we thought about also was the Ukrainian comedian Yakov Smirnoff, who is in Branson, who's got a theater in Branson. We invited him on the program, and he, I think, is in the middle of his own battle in terms of getting some of his folks out of Ukraine. Mm-hmm. And so, but this is great because you keep seeing, and I do too, on the local news, people that are of Ukrainian descent and people that are very concerned about the situation. And so you brought a guest. It's fantastic.
I did. Thank you, Randy. And then back to the comedian. I also want to tell you, I wanted to reach out to one of my favorite cover bands that you can find all over YouTube right now, Leonid and Friends. They sound better than Chicago. It's a tribute band. They do all that incredible stuff. And what is...
you turned me on to them, and I got to tell you, you're right. They sound fantastic.
Absolutely.
Say the name again.
Leonid, Leonid, and Friends. Go to YouTube.
Okay, don't spell it.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so
But anyway, what's heartbreaking about that is, because I get posts from this band, I was hoping to have them on the show too, is they're a mix. They have Russian band members. One of their lead singers is Ukrainian. And so they're praying for him right now.
Yeah. Well, and I will say my only hesitation about talking about this is because it's a very fluid situation. So what we say right now, tomorrow may completely change.
That's true.
And hopefully, hopefully for the better. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about who you got here.
Absolutely. So years ago, I had the privilege of working with a gentleman, Efim Fourman, who's our guest today. And maybe it's been 5 or 6 years ago, I remember Efim inviting my wife, who is in the arts community, and I to dinner to talk about a situation, and was really pleading for how can we help promote this art from Ukrainian artists.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't even believe it. Efim was showing pictures of me of military back then. You might have a camp with some military men. Some have boots on, some don't. Some have a coat, some don't.
You're talking about the Ukrainian military.
Ukrainian military, years ago. And so that was kind of my first introduction to reality of the tough situations in Ukraine. So with that said, though, it is a privilege and a pleasure to introduce our friend from Kiev, Ukraine, Efim. Thank you so much for being with us under such a difficult time.
Thank you so much for being here. Now, let me just ask you this current situation here. You've been living in Kansas City for how long?
For a long time, I think from 1999.
1999?
Yeah.
And so did you grow up in Ukraine?
Yes. I grew up in Kiev, and half of my life I was living there. And we left Soviet Union in 1991. So
this is interesting because you heard me mention Yakov Smirnoff.
Yes.
Pretty similar situation, right? He was from Ukraine when it was not under Russian guidance and government. And so, what are your earliest memories of where you were living and coexisting with Russia? What's your earliest memories of Russia?
I would say the memories before I left Soviet Union was just extremely good.
Extremely good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because I was studying in Russia. Actually, most of families, Ukrainian families, have half of family Ukrainian, half of family Russian. Yeah.
Interesting.
I have many friends as well, even right now, and they understand the situation in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia pretty well. They're definitely against war.
Well, absolutely. And you know, it's amazing to me how little all of us knew about Ukraine or about how that situation existed before, because the battles have been going on for quite a while, haven't they?
Yeah, war actually started in 14, and even we talk about big war right now, starting right now, just 12, 13 days ago. Not war to not such level, much smaller level.
Sure.
It was from 14. And some people think that war started just right now. It's not true.
Right. And so was anybody in Ukraine legitimately surprised at the Russian invasion? Because, like you said, it's been going on for some time now.
People are very surprised by level of war.
I gotcha.
Nobody expected that it could be such war.
Right.
How people say this is the biggest war from World War II.
Sure. Yeah. And do you still have family in Ukraine?
I have family and friends,
Yeah.
many friends in Ukraine, and situation right now is really tough.
Yeah, I'm just so sorry about that. Talk about the extraction of a lot of the Ukrainians now that are going into Poland. What kind of a process do you hear that is? I mean, it's certainly not easy, but it's getting done, isn't it?
Yes, and people go not only to Poland but to other countries like Moldova, like Czech Republic. I would say that really many people go through the borders, especially children with their mothers.
Right.
Because it's...
Oh, that's the scenes that you can't even see.
It's really difficult to stay in cities like Kharkiv, Kiev, many other small cities around Sumy. Many cities right now under Russian bombs.
And up to about 2 million, I understand, refugees right now, and they're like it could grow to 4, 6,
No,
maybe 8 million. Is that correct?
No, I heard right now it's around 1.5 million refugees, but it definitely could be bigger.
What is the population of Ukraine itself?
Ukraine is the biggest country in Europe, and it has a population like 40 plus millions.
Wow.
And right now you could see it's a pretty big portion of population actually has to go across the border.
Yeah.
Otherwise, probably many of you have seen what is going on right now in Kharkiv, what is going on in south portion of country. It's extremely dangerous situation.
Yeah. And there have been reports too, and obviously, you never know all of the truth about every situation, but there have been reports, and you kind of touched on it too, about the Russians and Ukrainians have gotten along and have been friends and have commingled, for a long time. And there were reports early on that maybe some of the Russian soldiers, laid down their guns and they said, I'm not going to fight.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. For many years, I would say that Russians and Ukrainians been very close friends.
Yeah.
And I would never expect, let's say, 20 or 30 years ago that something like this could happen. But Russian propaganda in last, I don't know how many, probably 10, 15 years, becomes ridiculous. President of Russia, of Russian Federation, Putin is just, from my perspective, not normal person.
He's nuts.
He is nuts.
He's crazy. And I do a military show called The National Defense, and we've had different guests on that have been high up in the military. And I've asked this question because I've heard so many people ask it. Why doesn't somebody just take Putin out? Why don't they just take him out? The answer that I keep getting is because obviously the people that are surrounding Putin, it would have to be one of them to do it. And that would threaten their livelihood, because if he's out, that's their gravy train. And so I don't know.
I would ask question how you do it, because
right.
you see what is going on right now. Let's say he has any kind of conversations with people.
Right.
He sits by table
20 feet away.
Right.
20, 30 feet away, yeah. And
well, a bullet goes that far.
I'm not sure. I am not sure if you could go to this room with bullet.
Yeah. No, I totally understand that, but he's just nuts. And I've heard everything from maybe during the pandemic and the lockdown, he,
further isolated than
brain got a little scattered, something like that. But in any event, it's happening. And so you've got a map here of Ukraine that we'll put on the screen, and Kiev, population of almost 3 million alone. But this is so educational because, like I say, I don't think a lot of Americans especially knew about, the geography and everything that was happening there. But so you mentioned they're not just going to Poland, the refugees. Where
Moldova
and all countries on the
I see
no,
Moldova.
not directly to Romania.
Okay.
You cannot go to Romania directly. You could go through Moldova, Czech Republic,
Sure.
Slovakia. Anyhow, people go to any country on the west
Sure.
if they want to escape Ukraine right now. About Kiev, you're right, it's close to 3 million people. And if you look with towns or cities, small cities around him, where actually right now very heavy fighting.
Right.
Yeah. It's approximately 4.5 million people.
Yeah. I mean...
And Zelensky is talking today to Parliament.
I got to tell you what, I love that guy.
Absolutely.
I love that
What
guy.
an inspiring guy.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, this guy...
To the biggest bully on the planet.
Yes.
And the people right behind him.
From my perspective, Zelensky is probably the most powerful person right now in the world.
I would totally agree with you.
And I really like him.
And he's a rock star.
I like him. He is. He was extremely well showman.
Right. Right.
He has no experience in politics, right?
Yes.
Formerly.
He played a president on TV.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was a movie
unbelievable.
"Sluga Naroda," where he played.
That's incredible.
And he was very good there.
Yeah.
And right now, I would say, I don't know to whom to compare him. There is no other presidents at the same level.
Yeah.
Definitely not Putin.
No, absolutely not. Let me just ask you, what do you hope, as a former citizen of Ukraine, what do you and friends and family still there, what is the best outcome from this that you hope for?
I would say it's not only hope. I'm pretty positive that Ukraine will win. I'm positive.
Really?
Absolutely positive.
I tell that's
you,
what we're all hoping and praying for.
No, it's not hope.
Yeah.
I'm positive in this. And another thing that with help from other countries, it will be a little bit easier and faster. Without help, it will be longer, but Ukraine still win.
I love that optimism, and
It's not optimism; it's realism.
It's the fact.
It's a fact.
It's
yes.
a fact. Well, and you talk about other countries. So the one thing that Zelensky has asked for from the United States and other countries is to enforce a no-fly zone over Ukraine, and the U.S. has not agreed to that. They are putting a package together as of today for $10 billion worth of funds to go to Ukraine. And
Poland is going to send more planes for
Poland's
airspace.
yeah.
But I'm also told there's planes already in Ukraine that are still being utilized, allegedly. I don't know.
I could tell you a little bit about this.
Yeah.
How I feel that many countries helping Ukraine, and we're very thankful for this.
Sure.
Poland helping a lot. It's like open border.
Right.
Great Britain helping a lot, really a lot. United States helps to some level.
Mm-hmm.
I would say United States definitely could help more. And about this, I just would like to say something.
Sure.
A lot of help also comes from United States, but I feel that some help just comes like 1 week later. If it would be a little bit earlier, it would be much, much more appreciated. Because, for example, right now people dying because of bombs, Russian bombs.
Yeah.
If it would be no-fly zone,
Sure.
anything else, Kiev, Ukraine, could take care by themselves. They just need to close.
But now you say that, but Michael at the top of the show was talking about these pictures of the Ukraine military with no shoes, I mean
In 14.
I know
2014.
I understand.
Yes.
But so you're telling me just since 2014 they've advanced to the point that they can defeat the Russian army.
Absolutely.
Really?
Right now, it's absolutely different army. In 14, military of Ukraine was actually destroyed by Russians. It happened for 10 or 15 years prior to that because president of Ukraine was pro-Russian. A lot of people in Ukraine been pro-Russian. Right now, situation's absolutely changed, absolutely different. Right now, you probably will not find anybody who will say, okay, I would like to stay with Russia. Probably nobody. You have 40 million people.
Right.
I would say 39 million and 900,000 are
Right.
pro-Ukrainian.
Right, right.
Even a lot of people, you need to understand that Ukraine is country which speaks two languages, Ukrainian and Russian. Many people speak Russian.
Right.
My city, Kiev.
Yeah. Well, that's what I asked.
I will come to this
Okay,
in
all
a
right.
second. Yeah, it speaks Russian. Many people speak Russian.
Right.
But this is really Russian-speaking Ukrainians. Even if they by nationality are Russians, they're already Ukrainians.
Well, and that was a question I asked you before we came on. Was am I crazy, or was there a place called Kiev, and now it's pronounced Kiev? Is that right? I mean,
I would say both of this is right. So if you say in Russian translation, it would be Kiev.
oh, okay.
If you say in Ukrainian translation, it would be Kyiv.
Let's go with that one, the latter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's just how idiotic I am. I mean,
But this is about any city. Let's say go to
Missouri.
Moskva or Moscow. Yeah, it's anything.
true,
It
true.
depends in which translation.
Well, this is fascinating to me, Randy, because
too.
We hear retired General Petraeus or others that you might be on your show,
Right.
having a different perspective on the military, and I do know that it does feel like the will is not there from Russians. We also, I think I'd also learned that these are all alleged, because what do I really know? That some of the oligarchs or others had to lie to Putin because his military defense reserves are way down because there was corruption. That's where a lot of the yachts and other things may have gone.
right.
I don't know, but major depletion. But to your point, you're watching live these strict rules of 15 years in prison for anyone that protests against Putin right now. And you watch a little old lady get beat, thrown to prison. And so I'd love to see the uprising in Russia against this madman and team.
Well, and before I just want to say, that's the other thing that people forget. This is Putin's war. This is not the Russian people's war.
That's right.
And so
That's right.
there are Russian people that are so against this war that never get heard from, and Putin shuts down the media and shuts down the social media and everything else. So you'll never hear from them. But it's exactly right.
And have you been close to any of that with family, friends that have spoken up when they shouldn't have, Efim, or not? Hopefully,
yeah,
hopefully not.
I would say several things about this. First of all, it was a question from you before about Russian soldiers which actually don't want to fight,
right.
and they just come caught by Ukrainian military.
Empty their gas
happening.
tanks or the tanks?
It's happening. It's happening.
It is happening.
It's happening. It's definitely happening. I would say that there are so many young boys like 18, 19 years old who are fighting from Russia right now. They should never come to war, you know, and many of them, my understanding, been brought to Ukraine without knowing where they go. You know, somebody told them at last moment, okay, now you're in Ukraine.
Right.
So it's also happening. About people in Russia, first of all, I would say right now Russia, not only people who will get 15 years, right now whole Russia in prison. This would be my point, because all of them are like in prison. They cannot say anything, they cannot go anywhere, they cannot buy anything because multiple companies go from Russia. And if person says right now any word, if person in Russia just says that this is a war, he or she could go to prison for 15 years.
Wow.
It's ridiculous, but this is...
And that just proves the point about how Putin is just nuts. I mean, it's not just he's oppressing his own people.
And one more thing, you asked how people actually react. So let's say if all population of Russia, approximately 140 plus million people, so it's like 4 times, Russia by population like 3.5, 4 times bigger than Ukraine, by territory probably 10 times or even more bigger than Ukraine. So I would say 50% of Russians right now they trust Putin 100%, 50% of Russians. 50 other percent think absolutely differently.
Are scared to death of him.
Yes, you're right. And just probably thousands of people go to the streets and trying to protest.
Oh man, I mean, just I love your hope. I love your enthusiasm.
Not hope.
I know. But I love all of that, and I feel like that kind of captures the entire Ukrainian spirit right now, as evidenced by Zelensky, because he is the embodiment of that we get to see. But in terms of when are we going to know? How long do you think this is going to last? Nobody knows, but.
It depends on behavior of countries around Ukraine.
Sure. Now, I will say about the U.S., and I appreciate your thoughts about the U.S. and about being a week late, and that may be absolutely true.
Just like our oil, we just made an announcement today, President.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
We should have done that a long time ago.
Yes.
The pressure went. I personally called the Secretary of Energy myself last week. I really did. I think all of us were putting pressure.
And just about
should have happened a long time ago.
Yeah, and just about this, if sanctions would happen not after Russians came to Ukraine, but before, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe war would not start.
And did anybody think Russia was bluffing? Did anybody think that? No.
Does anybody think if they would just keep rolling that they would just stop too?
Right.
I mean, we saw what they did in Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Or anywhere else you look. What kind of trust do we have there?
Trust is zero.
Zero.
Yeah, right.
And I
When
do
do
not
we draw
trust.
the line?
I do not trust to Russia right now, to Russian Federation, to government of Russian Federation right now at all, because, for example, right now it already been 3 times. Conversations between Russia and Ukraine in these latest days, and
Right.
it did not go anywhere.
Well,
They promised they let
A ceasefire.
ceasefire.
Yeah. Do you want to be there?
To be where? In Ukraine?
Yeah.
I would love to. I'm just a little bit afraid that I cannot keep right now
I mean, I would be
weapons.
I would be. I
and-
would be torn. I would be torn. I think if it were my homeland, you'd want to be there, but you don't. You don't
Yeah, there
want
was
to.
a term I heard from an actor that wants to go back now. It's called survivor remorse.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just
tough.
afraid that I cannot help good enough.
Sure.
If, I tell you, in 14, I was very positive and I wanted to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, 8 years later, I feel I probably could bring a little bit more difficulties for people around me if I
So
go
you'd
there.
be more of a problem than a help.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is what I feel.
And Randy and I just like to be like it's not an Uber driver, it's a goober driver, and
Right.
personally deliver some tea to Putin. Just,
Right.
happy
yeah,
hour.
just some special tea.
Some little
yeah,
special
right,
drink,
right. Just a
cocktail.
little, something for you. What do you think? So when all of this is over, what do you think is going to happen to Putin?
To Putin? In this case, I could just hope,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. And what I heard about him, that he is not in very good health.
Yeah.
And this is why he probably started all this campaign,
Right.
because
right.
he
I mean,
wanted-
nobody is with him. Nobody in the world is with Putin. And
Except his buddies around him with the deep pockets.
Well, yeah.
He's the wealthiest man in the world, right?
Probably.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
The wealthiest.
One of the
Okay.
wealthiest, yeah.
So could you pick up the phone right now and call somebody in Ukraine?
Do you want me to do it? No, I would not do it right now.
No. I just wondered.
I tell you.
Yeah.
I would not do it right now because it's night there. But during the day, I speak to probably 10 people in
Okay.
Ukraine. So
I just
speak
wondered
to
how the
many.
communications.
Or I have communication with people in Ukraine,
Right.
with people who already left Ukraine for reasons,
Sure, in Poland or other
in
places
in
now.
Poland, in Germany, in Romania, in Moldova. Yeah, I speak to
right.
people.
Oh, good.
And I speak.
And what do you hear from them? What do you hear from them? What do you hear from the ones who have been
Outside?
evacuated? Yeah.
Okay, for people who evacuated, it's a very difficult time for them because
Sure. Well,
in
of
most
course.
cases, this is women with children, and first of all, it was very difficult road, to go from
Oh, yeah.
from Kiev, from Kharkiv, from Sumy, from other cities to go.
Right.
It's under bumps, It's
Yeah.
like some people in their cars, some people by train. It was very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have hundreds of thousands people in Lviv close to border with Poland,
Right.
and people are waiting waiting for hours and hours. And, for example, one family who left right now, they have 2 very old women. One of them walking not very well. Another one is hearing not very well.
Right.
It was very, very difficult.
Well, and you're leaving your homeland. I mean, you're leaving the place that you're so.
Yeah, morally is extremely difficult for
Yeah,
many people.
right.
But I also, what I see right now, that many people who are still in Ukraine, in Kiev, in Kharkiv, in Mariupol, in other cities, situation is very difficult, very difficult. But these people, even they are not in military, they help military a lot.
Right.
A lot. They have territorial organizations on every territory.
Okay.
let's say in Kharkov region, in Kiev region, in Vinnytsia region, in any region there is their own territorial people who help
Kind of their own
military.
community there of support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not only support. Many people became military. They're civil people, engineers,
Right.
teachers, doctors,
that's
but
what-
they become military these days.
That's what I love about the Ukrainian spirit that I've never seen. I mean, I don't want to say ever, but out of any other country. But for them, I mean, these guys are, they're getting assault rifles. They may have never shot an assault, and they're ready to go.
It's a real version of Three Amigos. If you remember that scene where the town has to make, everybody's
Right.
pitching in
Right.
to make this happen, whether it's nets to cover up tanks, camouflage, you're right. It is
Yeah.
heartwarming. I don't care if you're 99 years old.
It's
or-
inspirational.
It is.
I mean,
Inspirational, that's the word.
the people that are just taking up, may have never fought anything.
At all costs, at all
Yes,
risks. We're not
yes.
leaving.
And
Right.
this is exactly what is going on, and what we already seen. Many people who are artists, who are sportsmen,
Right.
already died. Defending some of them Kiev, some of them in other cities. For example, just yesterday I heard about pretty famous artist. Not artist, actor.
Actor.
Yeah.
Okay.
He died. He was only 33 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and it's happening all the time.
But they died defending their.
Yes, their
homeland,
land,
yeah.
country, particular city.
Wow.
Efim, address one thing that I think's nuts personally, but there are some conspiracy theorists out there. There's also the Russian media, Chinese media spreading this stuff that you might be closer to about Ukrainian labs and how dangerous they are, and that's part of the threat. I know I read several articles today saying it is being spread. It's all a hoax. You could find debunking to that, but is there anything you can speak to on that?
I would not even go there.
Okay.
I would say one thing, that anything you hear from Russia today is just a lie.
Sure.
100%.
Right,
They do not say any word a truth.
Well, yeah, because they're not going to let any truth out. I mean, they suppress the truth.
Nothing. It's really zero truth, because for anything, they did not tell how many Russian guys killed, and it's already
course.
12,000 people
Right.
by
Yeah.
today. They
Yeah.
say okay. I think just 2 or 3 days ago they said it was close to 500.
Right. Right.
They never said that this is a war. They just said it's special
Oh, yeah.
operation.
Right. It's just a special operation.
Special operation,
Yeah.
to take Nazis from.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
It
Because
is.
you're talking about Zelensky. He had family member that suffered from the Holocaust.
Absolutely.
And the
He's-
propaganda is
Well,
about
that's what they're
Nazis.
calling
He's-
it.
Yes.
He's Jewish. And
He is Jewish.
it's
Yeah.
unbelievable how
Right.
you can even...
And his grandpa was colonel in Soviet army. He was
Oh, wow.
against fascists.
Wow.
Right now, Zelensky also against fascists,
Right.
like different kind of fascists.
Right,
And
right.
actually, we call them not fascists, but Rushists.
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 I like that. That's good. Yeah. Well,
How can we help? Can we go there?
yeah.
What's the best thing we can do
That's
from our
That's a
side?
great question, because I think everybody is kind of wrestling with that. I know that Church of the Resurrection is sending over money for the efforts
Yeah.
in Ukraine.
And I have one too. You know
Oh.
my boss, you've interviewed him
Sure.
many times, retired Colonel Gary Morse.
Yeah.
He's the founder of Heart to Heart International. You might have heard of that group, Efim.
Yeah.
You know what they started with? How they started? He had friends that were affected from the Chernobyl disaster. That was the first mission to take
Oh, is
the
that right? I didn't
medical
know that.
medicines. He knew great doctors there, but they needed help. So that was going to be a one and done event from the heart of the Midwest to the heart of that area of Chernobyl. And ironically today, here we are again.
Yeah.
But he started recently this global care force that helped during the hotspots in COVID. But today he's looking for medical teams that might be able to respond or help with this humanitarian effort. So I can say you can also go to globalcareforce.com.
Okay.
If you're a medical professional and might want to get plugged in that way. And then, Efim, you're going to have some sources too
I will give you a couple points about this.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, the best help right now is to help military of Ukraine, because this is the most
Sure.
important.
Sure.
And I think what is really good that we have site, and I already published it on Facebook, and I know that many people helped through this site. How it does, it's actually goes through through government fund.
Okay.
And it goes directly to military of Ukraine. So you don't send it to. There are many funds.
Yeah.
But I don't know how quick they are. I don't know how much money
Right.
will go directly to military.
But you know about this one.
This one I know for sure.
Okay,
And
so-
I
And
suggest.
I'm on your page trying to find it, or we could put it.
Yeah.
I will
We will
give
definitely.
you.
We'll get the link on.
Yeah, I will
right.
give you link. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have it on one of my pages.
Okay.
I will give it to you.
Yeah, because I think everybody wants to help. I mean, this is an international disaster.
And a couple more things about this, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So definitely to help with money, this help is really appreciated. Also, already there are a lot of what you mentioned, a lot of medical staff, a lot of medical people from different countries who already came. For example, I know that from Israel it was 50 doctors who came to Ukraine, and they're already working there. Also, a lot of militants, and you probably know about this. Now it's international or Ukrainian Legion. It's already more than 20,000 people from around the world, from 52 countries.
Wow.
This is people who actually come there, and they come already with help. For example, guys from Great Britain who came, I don't know, 2 or 3 days ago, they brought thousands of weapons against tanks. They just brought it with themselves.
Wow.
I
mean, that's giving right there. I mean, when you show up with weapons.
And I have been reading posts of American veterans that are like, I need to help. And
yeah, I already heard about many people. I think as of now, already more than 3,000 people from this 20,000 already in Ukraine.
Wow. Well, I mean, we can't say it enough, how much we value you being here and kind of educating us on what's going on. And obviously, we'll do everything we can to help. Hopefully we get the word out and people can support what you're talking about too. So thank you so much for being a part of this.
Okay, thank you, guys. And I would say any word to people around the world which could bring to help to Ukrainian people, extremely, very appreciated. Yeah, I appreciate it very much.
I mean, we're living through a history lesson. I mean, we really are. And I think people are getting more educated about different parts of the world. They're getting more, maybe not more educated, but more interested, And I think
to some degree more engaged.
Oh,
you think of the pressure
absolutely.
that's turning from grassroots to grass tops.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Well, our hearts, prayers go out to your family, friends, and everyone involved, and even those that end up in Ukraine that don't know what the purpose, why they arrived there, that came from Russia. Even
Yes,
that's a horrible situation. But thank you, Efim.
Yeah, one more time, guys. I really appreciate your time, your help, and any person who would like to help Ukraine, it's also extremely appreciated.
Great.
And if somebody would like to contact me, I will also give you my contacts. They could contact, and I could provide more information, because definitely we spoke only about small portion of what is going on there.
Sure.
And I have much broader information about Ukraine, about what is going on, and I could provide it as well.
That's great.
Well, we'll stay in touch. Hopefully, this doesn't. We'll see how this pans out.
Yeah.
But we may ask you and some of your friends maybe to come back on down the road.
Well,
too.
we'll have you back on for the victory celebration. How about that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. At that time, we definitely could celebrate. And one more thing today, if you don't mind, since today is March 8th, and this is International Women's Day.
It is.
I would like all women who listen to this just celebrate it and be happy.
Salute.
I have one note about that.
To your health.
I have one note about that. So, so I'm a married man, and we try to, in my family, we try to what's called out-sweetie each other. We try to do more than somebody else is doing for
You started that sign, "Love you more."
Yes, I mean, we just try, it's a constant battle to out-sweetie anybody in our family.
I think we do a little of that too.
Well, now my daughter, who has a longtime boyfriend, she sends us a picture this morning, me and my wife, of 24 roses that her boyfriend gave her
wow.
for International Women's Day.
Turning up the heat on the rest of us. Gabriel.
I didn't realize what kind of a struggle I was going to have.
You know what? The day's not over, is it? Efim, the day's not over.
Exactly.
Looks like we're all going to be picking up flowers on the way home.
International Women's Day. That's right.
Let me tell you one more thing. This is what I heard from women in Ukraine, and I speak with many of them.
Sure.
They said, okay, it's not holiday for us today.
No.
The holiday will be when we will win.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, man, that's great.
They actually say to men of Ukraine, don't bring us roses.
Yeah.
Bring us victory.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, that's the way we end right there.
Absolutely. Send us off, Efim. Randy Miller Radio.
RandyMillerRadio.com.
RandyMillerRadio.com